रावणचारी
यमुना तीरचारी
जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी
जय राघवा बिहारी
गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनातीरावनचारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरे
कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे हरे
कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे
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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा
कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम Rama Rama Hare Hare
Jaya Jagannatha Baladeva Jai Subhadra Jaya Sudarshana
Jaya Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Sudarshana
Jaya Gaurangi Bengurishwara Gaurangi Bengurishwara Gaurangi
Jaya Gaurangi Ishvara Gaurangi Ishvara Gaurangi
Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta De Prahlad Narasimha Jaya Ananta De
Jaya Lakshmi Jaya Ananta Jaya Narasimha Jaya Ananta
Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
जय ओम विष्णु पाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सदस्य श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णु पाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सदस्य श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। द्वारका धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर भक्त प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudiraye
Tato Jayamudiraye
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome for Iskcon Seshadripuram morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today I have been asked to take up 4th canto, 5th chapter, verse number 2 to 4. We will go through this. I will open up the Veda. Just give me a minute. The 4th canto is entitled The Creation of the Fourth Order. And the 5th chapter is called Frustration of the Sacrifice of Daksha. Okay, we will read now. I will share the screen. क्रुद्धाः सुदष्टौष्टतपुतः सदूर्जतिर्जातं तदिद्वह्नि रोसिसम् उत्कृत्य रुद्राः सहसोतिथो हसन् गम्भीरनादो विसर्जतां भुवि. Word by word meaning. Kruddaha, very angry. Su dashta oshta utaha, pressing his lips with his teeth. Sa, he, Lord Shiva. Durjati, having a cluster of hair on his head. Jatam, one hair. Tadit, of electricity. Vahni, of fire. Sata, a flame. Ugra, terrible. Rosisam, blazing. Utkritya, snatching. Rudraha, Lord Shiva. Sahasa, at once. Uttitaha, stood up. Hasan, laughing. Gambira, deep. Nadaha, sound. Visarja, dashed. Tam, that hair. Bhuvi, on the ground. Translation. Thus, Lord Shiva, being extremely angry, pressed his lips with his teeth and immediately snatched from his head a strand of hair which blazed like electricity or fire. He stood up at once, laughing like a madman, and dashed the hair to the ground. Next verse, I'll read the translation. A fearful black demon, as high as the sky and as bright as 3 suns combined, was thereby created. His teeth very fearful, and the hairs on his head like burning fire. He had thousands of arms, equipped with various weapons, and he was garlanded with the heads of men. The next verse, which is the last verse for today's discussion. Translation. When that gigantic demon asked with folded hands, "What shall I do, my Lord?" Lord Shiva, who is known as Bhutanatha, directly ordered, "Because you are born from my body, you are the chief of all my associates. Therefore, kill Daksha and his soldiers at the sacrifice." Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Here is the beginning of competition between Brahma Tejas and Shiva Tejas. By Brahma Tejas, Brahmanical strength, Bhrigu Muni had created the Rubu demigods who had driven away the soldiers of Lord Shiva stationed in the arena. When Lord Shiva heard that his soldiers had been driven away, he created the tall black demon Veerabhadra to retaliate. There is sometimes a competition between the mode of goodness and the mode of ignorance. That is the way of material existence. Even when one is situated in the modes of goodness, there is every possibility that his position will be mixed with or attacked by the mode of passion or ignorance. That is the law of material nature. Although pure goodness or Shuddha Sattva is the basic principle in the spiritual world, pure manifestation of goodness is not possible in this material world. Thus, the struggle for existence between different material qualities is always present. This quarrel between Lord Shiva and Bhrigu Muni, centering around Prajapati Daksha, is the practical example of such competition between the different qualitative modes of material nature. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Urminitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swa Padantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tamsa Jeevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deena Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrunda Vanaishwari Rishabhana Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Itinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome. So this verse, frustration of the sacrifice of Daksha. So when you do a sacrifice, generally everything is supposed to be very auspicious, but here frustration for Daksha. So that we will see. We have been going through this chapter for quite some weeks. The Sati, which her body was the previous chapter. And we all saw how Sati went for her father's sacrifice. The background is a little bit of a background quickly, because all of you have been hearing the background every day. But some people may see online suddenly once in a while one particular class, so to give them a context, it's important we just speak it. So Daksha was performing a big sacrificial ceremony, but he did not invite Lord Shiva for this that program. Lord Shiva, as we all know, is the son-in-law of Daksha, and Daksha's daughter is Sati or Parvati. Why did he not invite Lord Shiva? He invited the entire universe, so-called entire universe. That means all the heads, all the great personalities, great demigods, everyone was present, including Lord Brahma. But he decided to ignore Lord Shiva, his son-in-law. Why did he do that? Is because there is some previous enmity when there was another gathering where Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, everyone was present. And Daksha is supposed to be very, very powerful, very, elevated in so many ways, including in wealth, including in knowledge, and so many things. So when all of these great personalities were present, he walked into the assembly and everybody got up to respect him. But Lord Shiva did not get up. He may be his son-in-law, that's a different story. But Lord Shiva is one of the most elevated. He comes in that order of after Lord Vishnu. He comes somewhere next in that this one in terms of the the Gunavatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then all the demigods come in, and Daksha is somewhere in that range, below Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva did not get up, even though he is his father-in-law. But Daksha took an offense to that. How can he not stand up because I'm such a great personality and I have not been respected like that. So from then on, this enmity has been going on. So Daksha took that very very seriously, that he started offending Lord Shiva. All of us know Lord Shiva, as I mentioned earlier, that he is a Gunavatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the first place. And what did I come? Okay, so Lord Shiva is such a great personality. I had something in my mind which I wanted to say. Anyway, it went off suddenly. Okay, so Lord Shiva is the is one of the most elevated person. He did not take any offense in that, even though actually at that point in time, he was insulted by Daksha. He spoke with very angry words at Lord Shiva that he did not get up. He did not respect him. But Lord Shiva did not retaliate at that time. That's why he is completely equal. He has that equilibrium, like Krishna says, Samoham Sarva Bhutanam. Krishna says, I am equal to everyone. So Lord Shiva, even though he was instigated, even though Daksha insulted him in front of such a big assembly, Lord Shiva did not retaliate. He simply kept quiet and then he went away from there. So such a great personality, Lord Shiva. But this enmity that you create with such a great personality, now I got what I was trying to say. Lord Shiva, while he is, the position-wise, he is so big, but we should also know he is a great or the greatest Vaishnava. Vaishnavanam Yata Sambhu. That means the topmost of Vaishnavas. So Krishna in that chapter where he is talking about, like when Arjuna is asking, how do you manifest in to the different people of this world? Then he was saying, I am the son of the rivers, I am Ganges. Like this, he quotes many of all the warriors, of all the generals. I am Kumara. Kartikeya. Kumara is Kartikeya. No? Kartikeya. Like this is actually explaining how he is represented by many in different ways. And if you see all of those, and he says, of the animals, I am lion. So this gives an example to say that he is the topmost of that particular category, whatever he is talking about, of all the rivers, this is the topmost river. And he says, I am that, like this. And when he's saying, Vaishnavanam Yata Sambhu, he's saying, of all the Vaishnavas, I am Lord Shiva, which means the topmost in that Vaishnava category is Sambhu. That way we need to understand that. So that is the position of Lord Shiva. And Daksha has offended. This is a big thing, that anything can be forgiven. Brahmahatya also can be forgiven. But if someone offends a Vaishnava, that is the worst quality that we can have. That is the worst offense we can do. There is no relief for that. To the extent we saw there was one more, forget the Muni. So this Muni who offended a wonderful Vaishnav, and because of which Lord Vishnu actually sent the chakra, Sudarshana chakra, to attack this Muni. So when Sudarshana chakra is following him, he went running everywhere, including to Lord Brahma, and asked for protection. Please, Sudarshana chakra is chasing me, please help me. But Lord Brahma said, no, I'm sorry, I cannot help you against the Sudarshana chakra. You go to Lord Shiva. He goes to Lord Shiva and prays. And Lord Shiva says, no, I cannot. You have offended on a Vaishnav, and Sudarshana chakra is coming after you, and I have no powers to stop the Sudarshana chakra. You go to Lord Vishnu himself and seek shelter. So he goes running and then to Lord Vishnu and says, please save me from your own Sudarshana chakra. And Lord Vishnu says, no, I am helpless. You have offended a Vaishnav, so you go to the Vaishnav himself and seek his protection, and then Sudarshan chakra will relieve you. So he runs back, goes back to where he started and falls at the lotus feet of that devotee, and he seeks protection. And the devotee so mercifully says, no, you have not offended me at all. Why are you? How can I? What is there for me to forgive you? No. He says, no, all that is fine. But you please say you have forgiven me, because Sudarshan chakra is after me and it will kill me any moment. Therefore, then, by the mercy of that devotee, this Muni was saved. So why I quoted this story is because Vaishnava aparad is the biggest aparad that we can ever do. If we do that, our entire bhakti creeper is actually destroyed. And, we can see many such stories even amongst devotee communities also. But of course, Vaishnavas don't take offense. But the Lord is very, very, serious about this matter. He says, you can offend me, that's okay. But if you offend my devotee, that's it. And he demonstrated it even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's own mother, well, somehow, when she was he was young, when his brother was young, because the Advaita Acharya, he gave them Krishna consciousness, and maybe because of that, whatever the influence, her elder son left home, and then she was bereft of that son in that sense, and then she was even cautious with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he should not also become a sannyasi and leave home like that. So at that time, she had some offense to Advaita Acharya in her mind or in action. And that offense was something which was which was stopping her from progressing in Krishna consciousness. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually told her that, see, you have offended a great Vaishnava, even though she is his own mother. But he said, because you are offended, you will not get pure devotional service. Then he says, what is the solution? You just have to go and seek forgiveness from Nityananda Prabhu, from Advaita Acharya. And then after that, she actually got the pure love for Godhead. Even though that God himself is her own son, that pure love is something which is eluding because there is a Vaishnava aparad in the mind of the devotee, in the action of the devotee, whatever it is. Therefore, this is the case here with Daksha. So such a great sacrifice, supposed to be very auspicious. But what happens is, it is frustration. The chapter is named Frustration. Through that sacrifice, when auspicious things should have happened, because he offended his own daughter, Sati, died literally, because she decided to eliminate her body because her father, who is such an offensive person, how can I am actually a representation of my father, that this body belongs to my father in one sense, and therefore I am ashamed to have this body. So she actually quit her body. And this scene is about what follows after that. And she was, of course, having a lot of, she is Lord Shiva's wife, not an ordinary person. So she was accompanied by a lot of warriors of Lord Shiva, and all of them were present at that assembly. And after she committed, I don't know why, she decided to split her body. Then this Daksha and his priest, who's the chief priest under Daksha, who's performing all the sacrifices, Bhrigu Muni. So he is, very powerful Brahmana, right? I think he chants the Yajurveda. He chants Yajurveda, and with the power of the mantras, he creates many demigods, warriors. So all these warriors, they immediately, because when Sati left her body, the Bhutaganas, whoever were there to protect her, they were helpless. So they got agitated. So there was a little bit of a clash. And therefore, when this Bhrigu Muni created these demigods, they fought and chased the warriors, the security guard of Sati, gods of Sati. So this news comes to Lord Shiva. That first thing is the previous verse. If you see the first verse, Maitreya said, when Lord Shiva heard from Narada that Sati, his wife, was now dead because of Prajapati Daksha's insult to her, and that his soldiers had been driven away by Rubu demigod, he became greatly angry. So that was the previous verse. After which our series of verses came, where he says, thus Lord Shiva, being extremely angry, pressed his lips with his teeth and immediately snatched from his head a strand of hair which blazed like electricity or fire. He stood up at once, laughing like a madman, and dashed the hair to the ground. So with that anger that his wife is dead and his soldiers were defeated. So Lord Shiva is the destroyer of the entire universe, material universe, not simply an earth planet, which is like a sasuve, or in Kannada, or it is like a mustard seed. There are so many other hundreds and thousands of billions of stars and planets all over the universe. Everything is destroyed by Lord Shiva's anger at the end of the thing, whatever he uses, some people say he danced, so there are so many different descriptions, and he destroys the entire universe. Such a powerful person, and if he gets angry, you just imagine what will happen. So he pulls up a hair from his head, and then it's like fire or a big electricity, like in a thunderbolt when he pulls that, and he dashes it to the ground. And from that appears a very gigantic personality, undescribable personality, Veerabhadra. Many people worship Lord Veerabhadra, right? If you go to the villages and all, you will see Veerabhadra is worshipped. Such a huge personality. He's an incarnation of, Lord Shiva. He's an Amsha of Lord Shiva, or a plenary portion of Lord Shiva. So he comes, and I don't know, he's as tall as the sky, it is mentioned. And he's like, his shine is like 3 times the power of sun. Just imagine how powerful this one strand of hair of Lord Shiva is, Veerabhadra. Then imagine what is Lord Shiva's powers. So Lord Shiva creates this big personality called Veerabhadra, and Veerabhadra very humbly says, "Oh my Lord, now order me, what should I do?" So Lord Shiva says, "Kill Daksha." One word, kill Daksha. So now that is what we are seeing, and Prabhupada, while he's writing here, he's saying, this is the beginning of the competition between what is that? Brahma Tejas and Shiva Tejas. And he also somewhere quotes later that this is something like between goodness and ignorance. So this is there. Brahma Tejas and Shiva Tejas. So basically the fight is between this. Brahma Tejas is because Bhrigu Muni is part of the Brahmanical culture. Supposed to be the Brahmana. Brahmanas don't get angry. That is true, right? They are supposed to be very patient. They are supposed to be forgiving, everything. Brahmanas don't get angry. And Lord Shiva, who is he? Vaishnavanam Yata Sambhu. Even higher than the Brahmana, Vaishnava. And a Vaishnava never gets angry. But here you see two great categories. There is a competition. There is a fight to prove who you are bigger or I am bigger. I will show you your place. This is happening. Sometimes to our mind, all these things is very complicated. Hare yaar, Vaishnavanam, they say to chant, and Lord Shiva is the best chanter. If you see, you don't generally see Lord Shiva, in a very, like, in a playful mood or something. He's always serious, and you will always see he's sitting in this yogic posture and meditating on Lord Krishna. Like 24/7, he's chanting Hare Krishna. Such a person, then you can't think, how did he get so angry? And in that anger, he manifested this Veerabhadra and says, go and kill father-in-law. Sometimes our mind gets agitated hearing such things. Hey, how is it all this thing? Then what is their greatness as a devotee? And this Brahmana, Bhrigu Muni, he is not a Kshatriya. Why he gets angry at this kind of a situation? So can we say, therefore, this is the Leela of Lord Krishna? Right? Is this the Leela of Lord Krishna? Because if you all remember, when Parikshit Maharaj, he is also a great Vaishnava. So when he went in the forest and he sees, and he was very thirsty, and when he sees one Muni who's sitting there and performing meditation or meditation, he goes and sees there, and when a Muni is meditating, we should not disturb. But he goes and try to ask for water, but the Muni in his deep meditation does not realize that Parikshit Maharaj has come, and therefore he does not respond to his request for giving water. And immediately Parikshit Maharaj gets angry, and he puts a dead snake as a garland to that Muni, and he leaves that place. So such a great Vaishnava as Parikshit Maharaj, who had personal darshan of Lord Sri Krishna, how can such a person get angry for a small thing that someone did not give him water? Right? This is a most what do you call, pettiest of things for which to get angry for. That, okay, one guy did not give water, so what? I'll go and get water from somewhere else. But will you offend that person by putting a garland of dead snake like that? So that is explained by Acharyas. That is actually the pastime. That is actually the doings of the Lord, of Lord Krishna. Because Lord Krishna wanted Bhagavatam to be manifested, he made Parikshit Maharaj come to this thing. Parikshit Maharaj on his own may not have done something like that. This is the Acharya's explanation. I have read that. But in this situation, is it like that? That, it is the will of the Lord that he actually made both Lord Shiva and Bhrigu Muni angry. Yes, we know in one sense, ultimately everything happens because of the sanction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in that manner, if someone in the material world steals or commits a murder, then that is also by the will of the Lord. You can say it like that because that happened after the sanction of the Lord. Because yesterday I was giving a class in temple, in our temple. There in that purport Prabhupada had written that, nothing cannot happen, anything cannot happen without the sanction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That includes thievery, that includes murder, that includes all kinds of bad activities that one does. Because it still has the sanction of the Lord, otherwise it cannot happen. So, in that sense, here Bhrigu Muni and Lord Shiva's anger is also with the sanction of the Lord, but it is not like what you call the pastime of the Lord, or it is not a direct hand of the Lord in this matter. So, but therefore, then can we conclude, therefore, these two gentlemen are actually, even though they are of the highest order, highest in the Brahmanical category and highest in the Vaishnava category, they also behaved very badly, that, they are also affected. It's a very difficult thing. I was hearing Rompad Maharaj's class on this subject matter, on this sati and, all these behavioral aspects of this great personality. So he was saying, once someone asked this question, so there are many such occasions, right? There is Lord Brahma. See, Lord Brahma, who is he? Lord Brahma is our topmost Acharya. This is Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So Lord Brahma is supposed to be the highest of Acharyas in our line of our Sampradaya. Even otherwise, Lord Brahma is the first intelligent, first created personality, the most intelligent, the most perfect Jiva, right? But Lord Brahma also has committed many of these things. Like, there was one instance where Lord Brahma, without even understanding the position of Lord Krishna, he stole away the cows and the calves and the calves basically and the boys. Because Krishna at that time was only herding calves, not cows. At that age of Krishna, because there is also like graduation. So first the boys will not straight away be able to herd the cows. So they are given the calves. So the calves will have to be herded by the boys up to a particular age. So Krishna was in that age. So he was only herding the calves. And of course the Gopas were there with him. And this Brahma stole the Gopas and the calves. So that is first offense. Many offenses are there. I don't know if it is the first offense. That was an offense. And later, this has got to do with Krishna. But there is another situation where Lord Brahma, I think he created a woman, one beautiful lady. And what is that?
His own daughter.
Yeah, when he created, it is his own daughter. He created a beautiful lady. And, this is so powerful, this material world. And when he saw that beauty, he was attracted by that own creation, his own daughter. He started actually he started to run after this daughter in that sense, just imagine a father. We see in today's newspaper that, a father molested his child and things like that. But just imagine Lord Brahma, of his own daughter, he was attracted. You can't think of such things at all to such a great personality. But the situation was such. And then He suddenly, that's the greatness of such great personalities. He suddenly realized, what am I thinking? It is all in his thinking. It's not any action. He thinks, how can I think of such a degraded mind? How can I have? Then he committed suicide. And he turned into that, kind of a mist or whatever, call that. And that is how the mist got created in this universe, those kind of things. So he actually approaches Lord Shiva and he says, he approaches Lord Vishnu and he says, so the mist is created. So this is such difficult in this material world. And at that time, someone asked Prabhupada, this is something which I've read, the Brahma instance I read, but Prabhupada Maharaj I will tell later what he said about what Prabhupada said about this thing. So Prabhupada said, so people ask, therefore if it had happened to Lord Brahma, how do you understand these situations? So here Lord Shiva gets angry, how do you understand these situations? So Prabhupada says, so therefore, what is how do we relate it to such instances, their behavior, something like that? Then Prabhupada says, what I have read in another instance, Prabhupada says, see, how you should understand this is, if this can happen to Lord Brahma, how difficult is this material world? How I should be very careful. You should look at it that way in relation to you, not at how you look at, oh, Brahma did this, how can Brahma be like this? That is not none of your business to think like that. And he says, if that is the case, can happen to Lord Brahma, then what about my situation? How careful I should be in this material world? This is what I read. But the instance which Rompad Maharaj, His Holiness Rompad Maharaj said was different. So the similar question, in this particular case, like Lord Shiva getting angry, then how was then naturally devotees have these questions in their mind, right? Oh, how can Lord Shiva behave like this, fighting with Brahmana like this? Vaishnava, she should be very tolerant. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sagishnana manina manadine denena kirtaniyasya sadahari. How is it that he is not doing that? So when someone asked this question to Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada got very angry. He used only one word. He is sufficiently pure. He is sufficiently pure. That's all. Then nobody dared to further discuss with Prabhupada this question. So we need to understand this material world. We also know all of these demigods up to Lord Shiva, they are not Vishnu Tattva. None of them are equal to or above Lord Krishna. Therefore, and all of these places are also places of material world. Of course, Lord Shiva's is a slightly different thing. He is neither, I have mentioned this earlier also, he is neither Jiva Tattva nor Vishnu Tattva. He is in between Shiva Tattva. So that is not anywhere comparable to our Jiva Tattva. Up to Lord Brahma also not comparable to Lord Shiva. But at the same time, Lord Shiva there's a slight, it's an incarnation of the Lord Krishna himself, Gunavatar. But still there is a slight tinge of material attachment because Lord Krishna's expansion to manage this material world is Lord Shiva. Therefore, he is the intermediary one and he is in touch with Maya. His wife itself is Maya, right? Therefore, he is in touch with Maya and therefore there is a slight tinge of material quality. So we should not be worried about that. That's why Prabhupada uses the word, he is sufficiently pure. That means these gunas sometimes when great devotees, great personalities exhibit, we should understand that, it is not like they are also like me. There may be a very small tinge of such things. Not that we get angry at a drop of a pin, they say, right? We get angry so many times in a day, hundreds of times, thousands of times, even within a day. But they don't do this every day and night. It may happen once in a millennium. Lord Shiva may get angry. Lord Brahma may do something wrong. But this is once in a millennium. So that is actually not at all a blemish. Like they say, in the moon, everything is so great, but there's one small dot somewhere in the moon. Will you look at that small dot or will you look at the whole moon and say, wow, so beautiful? That is how we should look at some of these instances we see in Bhagavatam, which sort of puts a little bit of a question mark on the character of the great personalities. But we should not get carried away by such things because they happen once in a trillion or trillion years. But our condition, for who are we to go comment or judge such great personalities? So this is very important. So Prabhupada says they are sufficiently pure. And you also see Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, in some verses, I'm not able to quote those verses. He says, my devotees, even though there is some mistakes are them, should be considered as advanced or pure like this. So there may be some blemishes. What is the understanding there? Like, they may not have some great qualities, but since they are purely attached to me, they should be considered as saintly persons. This is Krishna's words in Bhagavad Gita. That means Krishna, and he also says, they will be corrected in due course. But these materialistically people who are wrongdoers, they will never be corrected in due course. Mistakes happen and they again do the same mistake, again do the same. It keeps on happening. But with such great personalities who are surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even if there is some small thing which happened, that is to be ignored and they will be corrected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we are nobody to judge it. So that one we need to have in mind very, so here Achyuta Prabhu has given that verse. Is it possible to also have the translation, Prabhu? I think he has given, very good. Api chetsu duracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadur yevasa mantavyam samyak vyavastito hi saha. The translation, I think it says, even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. So this is the verse. Thank you very much, Achyuta Prabhu. So this verse is nice to quote at this juncture. So what to think of Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma? Their actions like this are very, very, very rare. And Prabhupada's simple one word, they are sufficiently pure. That's all. You don't unnecessarily ask these questions, how can Lord Shiva do this and all that. That is immaterial. But that will be managed. That is not a problem at all. So such things do happen, but we should learn from such experiences that, this Maya is so very powerful. One needs to be very careful, and we should try to avoid Vaishnava Aparadh. We should try to avoid any kind of aggression, any type of anything which leads to anger. We should avoid. And the other point Prabhupada talks about in this third purport is there is always this fight going on between Sattva and Tamo and Rajo. All these three qualities keep competing between each other in ourselves to say. So it's like when someone is saying you are in Sattva Guna, it is not that you are in Sattva Guna 24/7. We are mixture. We have the mixture of qualities of all these three, but whichever is predominant, generally we are considered Sattva or Tamo or Rajo, depending on what is predominant. But invariably, this fight keeps happening in our mind. While by and large, one is in Sattva Guna, there is always some element of Rajo Guna and Tamo Guna. And because of that, we may act like this. But that will get changed in course of time. So sometimes someone may be in ignorance. Sometimes such an ignorant person may make some brilliant statement which are, wow, the one who's in Sattva Guna will think, I could never think like this. How did this person who's so ignorant, who's always sleeping in Bhagavatam class, how is it that he is able to say such things? We cannot say that. I'm sleeping in Bhagavatam, I'm just joking. The devotees means they are always in Sattva Guna. And if you are attending Bhagavatam class, they are certainly in Sattva Guna, so not ignorant. I'm just, that Guna of sleeping, I mentioned like that, don't mistake me. So that Guna is actually that ignorance. So if you are sleeping in Bhagavatam class, so you are in Sattva, but still that little bit of ignorance has come in, and that's why I'm sleeping in Bhagavatam class. That is to be understood like that. There is always this mixture of these elements, and one needs to be careful, try to avoid as much as possible, so that we can keep our consciousness intact in Krishna's service. So this is important. We need to understand. Sometimes due to our daily engagement in so many activities between devotees, there is something happens. little bit of an anger comes or whatever, we should take it, we should ignore it. We should not take it very, this one. But of course, if I am my guru sees this, then he will correct me. Then, if my authority is there, he will correct me. Not everybody should correct that person. That is important. The authority who's above that person can correct and tell that, Prabhu, this was too aggressive behavior. They should have been avoided. You know how you can avoid. They will give classes to help them understand that. But not everybody should judge. Oh, therefore this devotee is like this. Sometimes, day-to-day interaction, we get so angry so many times. And this is the situation sometimes. The situation brings out that quality from us, that anger or ignorance, whatever. But we should immediately understand, how I got angry in this situation. I should not have got angry. I should come down. I should tone down. I should try to be in Sattva. And one more point Prabhupada is making is, it is Shuddha Sattva is not possible in material world. Very difficult. So Shuddha Sattva is the actual plane in which one can perform devotional service. That quality is seen in the spiritual world. In material world, Sattva is the highest thing we can get to. Shuddha Sattva is rarely seen. Pure devotees, when they come, they will exhibit it. But for generally jivas in material world, difficult to exhibit Shuddha Sattva. But we are aspiring for Shuddha Sattva. That you will finally get when you are in, or you can experience it more or fully in spiritual world. Here we may experience on and off, little bit. Pure devotees, when they come here, they exhibit it all the time. That is possible because they are always liberated. Even though they come to the material world, they are not caught up in it. But other jivas, it's difficult to exhibit Shuddha Sattva. But at least we try to be in Sattva mode. That is important. Hare Krishna. I will end here. If there are any comments, questions, welcome.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Thanks for the nectarian verse and details about how the pure devotees, Vaishnavana, Meta Sambho, like Lord Shiva and Daksha. So when I read, normally I thought that, the doubt was there. How come such elevated personalities could get into this kind of big mess? Then you brought it out. So in many years, it looks like a dot and on the moon. You brought out that.
Yes.
Really, that was wonderful. And I have one doubt which you concluded. Which is
Yes,
Sattva Guna and Shuddha Sattva Guna. It is difficult, especially in Kali Yuga. That is correct. But did Prabhupada said that why can't you surrender that, or whatever the guna we have? Say I am in Tamo Guna. Can I transform, or shall I act on that on spiritual platform to convert into spiritual platform or Shuddha Sattva, or should I move from stage by stage? Say for example, I am in Tamoguna, then I have to wait for to increase to Rajoguna, then to increase from Rajoguna to Sattva Guna, like that, or directly whatever the guna I have, can I transform as it is? That is my question.
Okay, so nice. This thought is very nice and it keeps coming. All of us, sometimes we don't know. Actually, I get so angry, but how can I consider myself a devotee and performing, thing? So there are two aspects to it. But when you are performing devotional service, Prabhu, like, for example, we are now listening to Bhagavatam class, we are reading Prabhupada's purport, we are trying to understand Krishna's thing. So, sometimes I may be explaining in a very strong, manner, sometimes using some words which are not very parliamentary, like, that. So that when you may conclude, oh, this guy is very rajasic. But then we are using, even though that is by nature I am rajasic, let's say, but I have used that rajasic guna in explaining Srimad Bhagavatam. I used some words which is little hard to, generally very sattva devotees don't use such words. Let it be. Sometimes it happens like that, right? If it happens also, that quality should be considered above the three modes, because this is directly in connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when we act in devotional service, all our whatever quality is transcendental. That is there. But the question is, are you 24/7 Krishna conscious? Are all your activities directed that way? So then I can be in personally, I may be in Rajoguna, but when I'm doing devotional service, that is transcending. So personally, I am in ignorance, but personally, so any activity which I do outside of the devotional service, if I'm not dedicating everything to Krishna, then that is my natural guna. But as I am dedicating more and more to Krishna consciousness, that guna which I am having during my personal activities actually keep elevating. That can keep happening. It will slowly keep progressing towards sattva guna. But when I'm doing devotional service, that guna is transcendental. So there is no you can't qualify that in devotional service. You can't say this is Rajoguna devotional service, this is Tamoguna devotional service, this is Sattva-guna devotional service. All services are above the three modes of material nature. But the person who exhibited that, but when he is in his personal plane, you can qualify that he is in Rajoguna, he is in Tamoguna. So you get that difference, right? So in devotional service, whatever guna we exhibit is actually dovetailed for Krishna. Therefore, it is elevated to above the three gunas. But because we are not 24/7 in Krishna consciousness, our personal gunas come with us. And our idea should be to elevate our consciousness to the Sattva guna.
Right, sir. So personal guna means which predominating in my day-to-day activities.
Day-to-day activities, which is not, we are not 24-hour Krishna conscious, right? But if that activity was done during Krishna conscious activity, it should not be considered as Rajoguna or Tamoguna.
So 24 hours means we are forgetting Krishna.
Yes.
It's not possible for remain in that conscious all the time like that.
No, it is not possible, Nahi. We are not in doing that. Prabhupada, for example, was 24/7 Krishna conscious, but we are not. So there are times when we are not, we are in office, we are not having that mind of Krishna consciousness in our mind, but we are behaving roughly with someone. That is because of my actual guna of Rajoguna. But if you are you are managing the crowd and you find some Maharaj is there and someone is actually roughing off a Maharaj in that crowd and you just push them up, hey, don't do this. You are a little angry and say this. That is not in Rajoguna. So that quality elevates, even though that act looked like, I am just stopping these devotees, I am just, trying to protect Maharaj. That is more important, and therefore it becomes a Suddha Sattva activity.
Right. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so I will end here. Thank you, devotees, for joining. And again, I have many limitations personally. So whatever mistakes, please forgive me. Hare Krishna.